I don't think he'd have a problem with it at all. Like he's a guy, he wants to smoke now. He ain't joking about that. And yeah, this is definitely when I saw it, I was like, this is probably like one of those level test sort of things, like you said. Basically, if you know, if he, I ain't even gonna say just wins, but if he wins and looks good winning, you know what I mean? Like I think they're really checking to see, you know, where he's at basically. And yeah, I mean, I think his plans for it will basically be off of how good he does in this fight. You
Right,
know,
right,
but
right, right.
yeah, I did. Yeah, I think he's, you know, I think in his mind he's not done, and he's, you know, he looking to come out there and get one of them devastating knockouts. And let's be real now. One thing I can say, he can, when you talk about catching in somebody, he can catch anybody still and put anybody to sleep at any given minute. Now that's a fact. I mean, and it don't matter. It don't matter how good they are. He can catch them and put them to sleep. He has that kind of power, you know. And I hope he pulls it off, because I got nothing but respect for him. You know, like he's a great fighter, man. For a guy to come in at his age and everything, you know, he's one of the most impressive people that I've seen. You know, it's kind of a defy the odds story, like based on pure power too.
Yeah, yeah. You ain't trying to out finesse you or anything like that. What's going on, Ty? Everything good? What you got? The legend in the building. What's goody?
Salute, salute.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed, man. Always an honor and pleasure having you on. You keeping up with the topics right here. We're talking about Deontay Wilder. The big man's going to be back in the ring in April. It looks like he's going to be on BLK Prime. He's fighting against Stephen Shaw, probably like a top 20, 25 contender. Do you like that? Is that a good idea for the champ to go ahead and fight somebody like this to see where he is in his career before he tries to, fight some of the bigger names?
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a step in the right direction. Coming off those losses that he suffered. Stephen Shaw doesn't have the best pop, and I remember when he fought after Jabba, he was using his footwork trying to stay away from a Jabba's power in that fight, and we know Wilder can crack. It's just a matter of, can he crack at this point? Is he still hurt from those few losses? It also, to me, it also boils down to if Wilder's going to have Malik Scott in his corner, because
No,
he's not.
he's gonna get
So that's another thing. He's suffered more losses with Malik than he's won. So I mean, that's another question that I have. So I like it. I like the fight. I think it's a step in the right direction. But does he still have the heart? Does he still have the power? Who's going to be in his corner? Those are the questions that's in my mind. But at the same time, I think Shaw does have some pop. So it's a decent fight to me. But I'll go for Wilder if he can get that hunger and that killer instinct back. But we know, this isn't the Wilder, that was knocking everybody out, that was on that nice run. So this is definitely a different Wilder. So it's a toss up, but I'll probably go with Wilder.
See, well, he just needs some fights that's going to get his confidence back. See, sometimes that's what they say about, like, sleeping dogs or bears, whatever it is the saying is, like, you got to let them just stay asleep. And so for him, it reminds me of like a Vander Holyfield. After he lost to Riddick Bowe, he took an Alex Stewart. I remember at certain points he'll take a loss. He'll fight somebody like a Bobby Chiz, just to fight, to stay busy and then, work on a few things. I remember Miguel Cotto. He had a fight against, I can't remember the kid name, but I think he was a Jewish fighter, one of the few Jewish fighters, but he was a white guy. I think he was a Jewish fighter. If he wasn't, then pardon me. But he fought against, and then the guy didn't have that much power. So he fought guys like that, so to get himself back in a swing of things after taking a brutal loss to Margarito. You have people doing that. I think that may have been after Pacquiao, because I think after Margarito, he ended up fighting Pacquiao. But this is where the confidence is being built. And then also, he could use those losses that he had as learning tools if he's in the similar situations that he was in or when he lost. So, for instance, when he lost against Jelly, knowing not to be throwing and winging those shots so far out where you can get clipped, like I'm not gonna make that mistake again, you know. So it could be a learning tool. The thing about Malik Scott, I'm not gonna talk down on him. It's just that the one thing about Malik that I don't think that he should continue to do moving forward is I think what he's trying to do with Wilder is something that doesn't make Wilder who Wilder is. Like he makes him more of a boxer, and I see the drills that they're doing, and it's like he's trying to perfect this, and we're gonna try. No, that's not what made Wilder. That's like trying to tell George Gervin to shoot a different way. You know what I'm saying? Like back when he was scoring all those points. Like, no, he was a scorer. Now I want you to go ahead and start, locking these dudes down on defense. You're like, no, like that's gonna mess around, and now he's not gonna be able to do what it is that he did. Like his perfection is setting somebody up at some point in that fight for that big right hand. So that's what you should be trying to, perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like allowing him different ways to set that shot up, or add another shot like the left hand or something like that. But don't be sitting up here trying to make the man know they ain't gonna sweep Pete Whitaker. All right. Also, man, you got my boy Errol Spence, Sebastian Fundora, March 29th. It's looking like the fight is going to be a done deal. Let's keep the same order. Bill, talk to us, man. What do you think, man? Who you favor in this fight right here? Spence been off, for a long time.
Yeah. The longer it goes on, the more Fundora's chances improve. And I still, off of style, I kind of favor Errol Spence because I think he, looking at how they both fight, Spence is going to go to that body. He can bang him. He has a higher pedigree. Even though even if you say he was stopped by Crawford, and he wasn't just, it's about somebody as highly regarded as Crawford. And he wasn't just put out.
Yeah, I just learned Spence was high, man. They said Spence was high.
Regardless of what he wasn't put out like Sebastian Fundora was. So that's why I favor Spence in the fight overall. But the longer he's off, like it'll be almost 2 years, and I think that's too long to be going without taking any type of like actual punishment, because this is his first fight going back, and Fundora is somebody who's gonna bang, he's gonna land on Spence. So I think Fundora's chances are improving, but I still favor Errol Spence in this fight.
Shane, what do you think, sir? Who do you think is going to win the fight?
Man, I'm going completely the opposite way. I think Fundora is going to drag him into a war. I felt like this before the Crawford fight, that Earl was not the same Earl that he was before. He had several injuries and things come up, and just looking at a couple of the fights before Crawford, he didn't seem like he come up, and just looking at a couple of the fights before Crawford, he didn't seem like he come up, and
not bad.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it started kind of echo when I was anyway. Just looking at the fights he had before, like Crawford, like he wasn't looking like the same guy. Even though he was winning, he wasn't looking like the same guy to me. And I feel like Fundora, man, he's a warrior, and I think he's just gonna drag Earl into deep waters. Earl is definitely a much more skilled fighter, but this is also an awkward fight. You know what I mean? Like with a big awkward guy, they'll jump inside and make a war out of it with you. Like even if he gets put down and all of that, he's not gonna be put out of the fight. He's gonna get back up. He's gonna keep coming at him. And I feel like Earl's gonna have a lot of ring rust out there. You know what I mean? He's not gonna be as sharp. His reflexes ain't gonna be what they once was. I favor Fundora, man, and I think it's gonna come as a big shock to a bunch of people. I know he's definitely the underdog, but I favor him, and I think it'll be a war, and I think Fundora pulls it off either by a decision or a very, very late knockout or stoppage.
I don't think it would be surprising. What about you, Ty? What do you think?
Yeah, right now at this point, I'll probably lean toward Fundora, but it depends on what style he's coming in, what game plan he's coming in. If he's coming in to stand in front of Spence and trade with him, I think Spence will get the upper hand because Spence got the power. He goes to the body. But if Fundora stays from the outside, he's got that long reach. He could keep Spence at bay with his jab. But both guys, heading into this fight, both guys were coming in, off a long layoff. Spence even longer. Fundora, it's been a year since he fought Tim Zhu. Spence even longer. So, and he's fighting at 154. So to me, Fundora, he's got more of the advantages on his side. So at this point, I would just go with Fundora. But I still give Spence a high chance because we seen Spence in a position where he came off a layoff and he was dominant. He looked good against, Danny Garcia. But we don't know how he's going to look this time around. But at this point in their careers, I'm going to just go with Fundora. I'll say by decision.
I mean, that's all cool and dandy as far as him doing it before, but he's getting older. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like when you're younger and you spry and you get you a long layoff. That's one thing. But as you get older, after a beatdown like he took in his last fight, it's not. You can't keep doing it. He needs to do what Deontay Wilder is doing. He needs to take him a Stephen Shaw and then fight somebody like Fundora. And all this, I don't take tune-ups. Yeah, brother, you need to take a tune-up right now. You understand what I'm saying? You're going into a new weight class. You don't even have a trainer right now. They still trying to figure that out. Yeah, Fundora's going to whoop the hell out of Spence. And then on top of that, see, here's the thing for me. Like, I'm very specific as far as what I do. I look at all the details. I remember I coached with a guy, and in the playoffs in Texas for basketball, you negotiate where you play your games. So, and a lot of times the games be at places that are neutral. Sometimes you can agree to play at their place, but you just have to negotiate. So we were playing this team, Crandall, but Forney was right in between our school and their school. Now the coach had decided to play the game at Forney. And I'm trying to tell him, I said, man, I wouldn't play there because historically our team never plays well against Forney and at Forney. So I don't know if it's something about that court that we just don't perform well. We played against Crandall, they beat the hell out of us. I'm like, man, that's what I'm saying, man. And we used to always had a number, but in that gym, we just never played well. The other thing, about 2 weeks ago, I'm going in for some tests, and I got to do a pre-exam before I go to the other exam. The lady said, well, the earliest date that I have is January 13th. I said, no, man, I'm not going on the 13th for no exam, and you tell me all type of bad news. Give me another date. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that to say, brother, you fighting on the 29th. The last time you got your ass whooped was on the 29th. Fight on a different day, man. So, yeah, I got Fundora's going to whoop Spence, and it's a sad day in my eyes. I love the kid, man, but it's a lot of things that's going against him in this fight, and some of it he didn't have to allow that to take place. Like I said, you don't have to fight on that day. You don't have to you can take your tune-up. You also should have a trainer by now. All of these things, man, you fight in a new weight class, brother. Like, how much do you want stacked against you? And Fundora is going into another fight that he's going to have where he has a lot of advantages, like against the Tim Zhu, late replacement, totally different guy. Now, I know he had to go through a similar situation, but the way he is, as far as being a 6'4", 154-pound guy, nobody's ever going to have to deal with that outside of dealing with him. He'll have the advantage over other guys because they're similar guys to the dudes that he's fighting, as opposed to having somebody as long and lanky and fights the way Fundora fights. So that's what I think, man. Joshua says that, Joshua stared down. Is he intimidated by Bakole or hiding fear? Never know. Bakole has some choice words for him. I don't know if you guys want to touch on that, whether or not you think that Bakole will have a chance against old AJ. I don't know, but we can keep moving forward if you don't. I mean, that's not a big deal.
I think he has a great chance to lay anybody with a punch can lay Joshua out at this point. He's vulnerable. But yeah, we can move on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he hating on AJ. You want to also talk about McGear versus Sarasi. Bruno rematch is set for April 12th. I'm not sure if it's going to be in the same place where he got stopped in Tijuana. What's going to happen in this rematch? You think that my main man McGear is going to get some get back?
Oh, I think so. I definitely think that McGee's doing the right thing because he's not taking this match like 6 months or 7, 8 months or a year down the road. He's doing it immediate. He's running it back. This is a fight he was winning in the fight before he got caught. So it's gonna be interesting in him trying to shake those demons off. Because he's gonna know I can get caught coming in the same way. So it'll be interesting to see the way he fights and how he wins this fight. But I think he's gonna get this. It's a get back, and he's going to win this fight. The only question is he going to be that same destroyer going on offensive against Sarase, or will he just show off some skills and show some different wrinkles to his game, just outbox him down the stretch? But we'll see.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Shane? You think it's going to be a replay, or it's going to be he going to get his revenge?
I think Munguia is going to pull it off. I think he's going to be a little bit more cautious this time. I'll be honest. I feel like this for him was kind of like what we were just talking about. I feel like this was supposed to be like I'm not going to say like that bad, but somewhat of a tune-up fight for him. After the Canelo fight.
It was a tune-up. Yeah, it was a showcase.
Off guard.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he just needs to be just a little more cautious this time, and he definitely has what. Like I said, he was winning the fight. He has what it takes to pull it off, And I feel like it's gonna probably go to decision because of it, because he's gonna be a little bit more cautious this time, and but he'll pull it off. He's got the skills, and I see him pulling it off as long as he can just avoid a little bit of danger.
Yeah. What about you, Ty?
Yeah, I got Jaime Munguia. I think he just got caught. In his last fight, I think he just got caught. I mean, when you got a guy that's standing in front of you for 12 rounds, he's going to be throwing shots. You can't avoid every single shot. And I mean, even if you got the best defense, you're not going to avoid every single shot. So he just got caught. But I mean, this is a guy that went the distance with Canelo, and like Jaime Munguia, he's got a lot of experience as a pro, over 40-something fights. So definitely got a lot of experience, and I think this time he's gonna be better on his defense. He's gonna come in, more prepared for this fight, more defensively sound, and I think he'll get the decision.
See, Saras was waiting on that shot the whole fight. He missed it a couple times, and sometimes he may have landed it before, but not like that. And so he was waiting. Now, I kind of differ. I think that McGear would, in his best interest, would be to be more aggressive in this fight as opposed to being cautious, because his being cautious is what led to his not being cautious, but him having that lapse led to his demise as far as getting hit flush with the shot. See, Saras, with the limited amount of KOs that he has, he can't punch, he can't crack like that unless you let him wind up and hit you like that. Like if you in exchanges and things like that, he doesn't set his feet enough in order to hit you with shots that's going to be harmful. It's when you sit up there and you lax and you sit back, and then this dude just wind up and hit you. A baby can knock you off. You let him do that. Now, here's the thing. McGear, when I had my little break, man, like I said, I watched The Zone from time to time. I saw Jaime McGear getting whooped on by a couple guys. And he ended up getting a decision, but he looked bad. And some of those dudes didn't have that much power either. And they were like kind of hurting him a little bit. What was the dude name who I just saw the other day? I'm laying in bed. I'm like, this dude been getting whooped on by guys. It was, it wasn't Correa. Dennis Hogan. Dennis Hogan whooped him. Like that he lost to Dennis Hogan.
I do remember that fight.
Yeah, so I'm like, man, this dude, Dennis Hogan was kind of styling on him a little bit. And so I'm like, dang, McGee. But this was after the Sarase fight because I forgot all about that. And so then he started looking a little bit better against some other opponents. More so against Ryder. Like once he beat Ryder, then you kind of thought that he found his way. You know what I'm saying? But then, you had the Sarase fight. So in this fight here, in order for him to be successful, what I would do is I would press, because when he was pressing, he was having some success. Knocked him down in the second round. He was winning every part of the fight, with the exception of the time he ended up getting knocked out. So press him, unload on him. Try to make sure that your stamina is up to par, but most importantly, make sure your antenna's up where you don't have any lapses, throughout the course of that fight. I think he should be A-OK and position himself back in order to be a player at 168 pounds. Also, you got Jared Anderson. He's going to be facing Marios Colias. Vail, are you familiar with his opponent that he's going to be facing?
No, I'm not as familiar, but I
you seen him?
I've seen him. I did some research on him, and he's definitely tailor-made for Anderson. He's slow. He can be hurt. So this is a good fight. But he does have a little bit of power. So Anderson might want to be careful, especially he might want to use this opportunity to work on that flaw that he has when he goes straight back. So that's a good way to do that. But it's a good fight for him to, Jared Anderson, like we talked about, to get back in there, get his feet wet, and see where he's at. I think it's a good fight for him. Now, of course, he's going to win this one. If he doesn't, then we know his career is over. He can go back to he made his money. He can be the businessman that he wants to. He can go back to whatever stuff he was getting into.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Shane? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with his opponent enough to really speak on it, to be honest.
Okay. What about you, Ty?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him either, but from his record, he's got some pop. 10 KOs and 15 or so fights. So he's got some power. But salute to Jared Anderson getting back in there. He took a loss to Bicoli. He's getting back in there before Bicoli. I don't know if it's because Bicoli's being avoided or what, but salute to Jared Anderson, getting back in there. We all knew this was eventually going to happen to him. Like as Val was saying, with his defense and everything, we knew he was eventually going to get cracked. It was just a matter of what opponent was going to do it. And, Bicoli could crack. So, but salute to Jared Anderson getting back in there. I hope he makes the best of it this time around.
Listen, man, if he can't beat this dude right here, then he needs to, I think he better let it go, as my main man, Teddy Pendergrass, says, because it's going to be another love TKO. Now, here's the thing. The dude that he's fighting or fighting is, Billy, again, y'all fellas too young to probably know about AWA wrestling back in the day. And so he kind of looks like, man, if you saw some of the dudes, Greg Gagne and all of them dudes, Hulk Hogan used to, he started on there. But you had Adrian Adonis, you had Jesse Ventura was on there. Roddy Piper was on there. You had Greg the Hammer Valentine. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He's like cut from. It's like, put it like this. He reminds me of somebody who's on analog. You know what I'm saying? Like he's an old school, slow, type of dude. And so, like I say, with only thing that Jared is going to get out of this is getting back in the win column and building some confidence. Now, when you trying to give somebody, like a tune-up or something like that, that's one thing. But this right here is going way back to that low-level opposition that he was facing before. You like, when are they going to put him in there with somebody? Like, I think there's a level that they can up and give him, as opposed to giving him this dude, because then after a while, you start working on things, it might give you a false sense of security, a false sense of that I'm better than what I am because I'm whooping on this dude who has no business being in the ring with me. And so that's the tricky part of this fight. What's going to happen next? Like, who they're going to put him in with next? Because this is not going to help him if he's trying to get a rematch with Bicoli. Only thing that's similar to him and Bacoli is they both big. Like this guy is a big dude, but he's way too slow. I mean, what's my man name that Deontay Wilder knocked out with that 1-2 in the second round? And he used to who?
Stavern?
Not Stavern, the guy who
Brazil.
Brazil is like two speeds ahead of him. You know what I'm saying? Like he makes Joe Joyce look like a speed demon. You know, so,
he made Joe Joyce look like Mildred Taylor.
Hector Camacho. You know what I'm saying? So he should have his way with this one, man. But good luck to the young man. February 14th, that's going to be on the Keyshawn undercard. Teofimo, man. Teofimo's rejecting an offer for Matias. What do you think about that, man? Like, first off, it was Tank Davis. He's calling out. Then he's calling out Boo Simmons. Now he doesn't want to fight Subriel Matias. Like, man, what is this man doing?
It's career sabotage, man. This dude just has a high opinion of himself, man. It's kind of it's weird because like, man, you got a few wins, but you got you got a few good wins, but you got a few bad losses too, where you losing fights that you should not have lost. And this dude head just not in the game, man. It's just, man, if I was him, I take that fight. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's. I mean, of course, Matias is remember he used to be the boogeyman and all that, but there's a way to beat him, and Teofimo Lopez does have enough skill as far as movement and reflexes in order to keep from getting those getting hit with.
Let me ask you this question. Is Subriel Matias fight now? Hitchens has the belt. Mm-hmm. Which fight is bigger, Subriel Matias or Hitchens? Which fight do you think fans will want to see more?
They will want to see Teofimo Lopez and Matias. But Hitchens with the belt, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. And Hitchens is going to bring it too. So
the thing is, between those fights, to me, I think he matches up better against Matias, although he's going to probably be a little bit more in pain after the fight is over with. But I just think he matches up better because Matias is slow-footed and he can take advantage of the limitations of Matias. Now, What's-Come is a cutie, and the fact that he doesn't like to stand there in front of you, that's what Teo typically has trouble with. So, you know, the Ortizes and people like that, the Claggets and people like that who kind of cuties, that's who he doesn't perform well against. You don't get your best bang for your buck. Listen to what he has to say. The lady's going to ask him a question. He's going to kind of reveal. You fellas, let me know what you think about this response from Teofimo Lopez.
I'm going to get that same one. I'm not.
Bro, you talking to me?
Can y'all hear that?
No, we can't hear it.
Oh, wait, don't say nothing, man. Like he just got me sitting up here.
I thought you was playing. I thought you was trying to get.
I had my ear up to the thing.
Can y'all see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Can't hear anything though.
Okay. You can't hear. What he's basically saying is that the 26th of June, he's out of his contract. It's either 26th of June or July. And so they want him to fight Matias. The network is saying that they want to put it on pay-per-view. A few months ago, Bob Arum said that the Matias fight wasn't pay-per-view worthy. And so that's where he's confused at. But also he doesn't want to be a stepping stool for Matias because he thinks that Matias is in a situation where he's trying to rebuild himself. So why should I face him now? And so that's the excuse as to why he's not facing him.
That's a dumb excuse. That don't even make sense. How is Teofimo Lopez a stepping I ain't gonna say how, but how does he think that he's a stepping stone for Matias? If anything, Matias is a stepping stone for him. And that shows me that his mind is not in the right place now, and he needs some better, advising. He can hire us, one of us, man. We can lead him in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you fellas think?
I thought this was a good fight for him, to be honest with you. I thought this was one that he could win. Like I said, Matias, he got that power and everything. I think Hitchens would have been more dangerous fight than this one. I feel like his style is one that he could pull this win off. I thought this was a good choice for him. I thought, and also, like, I like the idea that it wasn't a pay-per-view. Like, I thought that might be like something that he himself was into because, he wanted to get more eyes on him and everything. Because he seemed to be a guy that likes that attention, like he does a lot of talking. And then, when we end up getting a fight from him, it's not nobody we expecting. He calls out everybody and then, something happens. I'm kind of disappointed in him here, because I was looking forward to seeing this fight. I actually had thought they had it confirmed and everything, and it was going to be a free fight and all that, and then I realized it wasn't. And honestly, if he ain't gonna fight anymore, I don't want to hear the dude talk.
Yeah. Well, what you think, Legend?
Yeah, I would talk with Shane about this off camera. I was saying, I thought that fight was called off because that's what I was saying and everything. So, yeah, I don't know what Teofimo Lopez is doing. I seen the video of him where he's acting like he's a homeless guy. He's begging for change. I don't know if you guys seen that video. And then he was saying something about he could definitely take on Devin Haney in his return fight in March. So he's kind of all over the place with it. So I ain't got too much to say with it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out who is he gonna fight. And Ring Magazine got him the champion. I guess it's like if you're not fighting Matias, and you don't look like you're gonna be fighting Hitchens. Hoyo already has a fight coming up. Catterall already has a fight coming up. If you saying that Matias is a stepping stone, then you will be saying the same thing about Paro because Paro just lost to Hitchens. Josh Taylor, you already fought. Nobody seems to think Josh Taylor is what he was before. Barbosa already has a fight because he's fighting against Catterall. Are you fighting against Andy Hiroka? I think Valenzuela, he has a fight against Russell that looks like that's going to be coming up. So who are you going to fight, sir? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get these dudes, man.
Nobody.
I don't
fight
get
nobody.
Another Claggett. I mean, even these guys that he's facing, Ortiz, I like him, but you didn't see Ortiz nowhere near the top 10 or anything like that. So Tio is in a world of trouble when it comes to, I think sometimes guys miss out on their blessings. And Matias right now would be a blessing to him because that will buy him some time. If he's going to play this game, he could play it more with the victory over somebody like Matias because he could say that Matias was the boogeyman, and the fact that I whitewashed him and I did him dirty. Dudes were scared to face him. Hitchens didn't want to fight him. You see, Devin wasn't going in this direction. I'm the one who went in there like out of the top guys who wanted to smoke. He was the next dude in line, so I went ahead and handled that business. Who else wants some of this? Not that he even has to fight anybody for a while after you make a statement like that against somebody who's quote unquote this guy that other people don't want to face. See, that's the thing. Like he's playing his hand wrong. And it's so mysterious. You don't know what's going to come out of his mouth either. It's like he's acting like I'm this showman. I'm supposed to make this type of money. I don't have to fight this guy because of these reasons. Dude, you're a fighter. You know what I'm saying? He should want to fight everybody.
I think you just hit it right there, though. I'm getting a sense like what Ty just said, and him being so all over the place and everything, man. Like I'm getting the sense of this guy, like he definitely doesn't have his head in the game, and it seems like his head is more like content creator or something right now, It
What's
seemed like he's
content
just trying to make good, stay relevant, and stay in the limelight without fighting, basically.
Yeah, it's that, like I say, when we started off, man, some of these dudes grew up watching Blues Clues and Clifford the Big Red Dog, so they all over the place with their thoughts. You understand me? GFTV, G5 Jeff TV, he says, "What up, fellas? Salute." Absolutely, man. You always welcome to come through to bestow your box knowledge on the public. You understand what I'm saying? You got Nerd. He says Ryan versus T.O. is in the works. Why? why would they do that? You know what I'm saying? Also, fellas in the chat, man, chime in on that, man. Who wins that Fundora and Spence fight, man? That's the showrunner. Anybody want to come on and then share their thoughts on who they think is going to be victorious in that fight against Earl of True Spence and Sebastian Fundora? You more than welcome to come through and let us know what you think. And G5 says Jared Anderson doesn't seem emotionally right. Going back to the clip he had with Roy Jones. Yeah. Some seems to be off with the young fella. Hopefully he'll get that together, man. We don't want to see any mental health type of situations that occur in the sport of boxing. Now, the fight against Bacoli could be a blessing in disguise because now he might be listening. He might be willing to listen. Some of these young dudes hard-headed, man. Some of these dudes got that what's my man name to be having a different color hair from Brooklynville.
Chris Colbert.
They got the Chris Colbert syndrome. You understand what I'm saying? They hard head. And by the time they're willing to listen, it's too late. But that right there, the fact that he's so young in his career and so young in age, he still can learn a lot from that and move forward. And as opposed to being a Colbert, he can be like a Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois never had the problem of being hard-headed, though. He always was a willing listener. It's just the fact that, he ran into Joe Joyce at the wrong time. He might have been overconfident going into that fight because if he was thinking what I saw with Joe Joyce, I'm like, he's going to beat the mess out of that slow dude. And Joe Joyce put that jab on him. This is never again. Ryan Garcia rejects Vada, putting Haney rematch in doubt. Who are you, sir, to be rejecting any drug testing after you failed a drug test, you jerk? Cheap. What do you think, Bill?
This goes back to what I said earlier. This is the reason why. I looked at my instructor and I was like, man, this dude look like Ryan Garcia, man. I can't get past it.
Yeah, you can.
But we talked a little bit. He was like, hey, I shook his hand and all that went away. But it goes to show you how much a piece of crap I think Ryan Garcia is. Dude, just a piece of crap, man. It's not much you can say here. The dude, you cheated. Not only that, it's like you cheated. Then at first you said, and I think one of y'all brought it up last week. He said one thing, said, "Hey, my drug's tainted," and then he said something like, "I was set
lying.
up."
Yeah, we know you're lying.
Yeah, Shane. Yep. I mean, he's lying. I'm like, dude, like that just shows piece of crap. Like normally when guys get, and I'm not condoning PED usage or anything like that, but normally when guys get caught, they do one or two things. They just outright say, "Hey, it never happened," deny it, or they don't say nothing at all. I've never seen somebody get more popular since they got caught. Like it's crazy, and it's like this is the world we live in, man. But Ryan Garcia just a piece of crap, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to focus in on him not doing this and the fight being in jeopardy. So if he's not going,
if fight it shouldn't even be a question. If he's going to reject Vada, there should be no rematch.
Okay, so that's the answer to the question. What you think, Sam?
Man, I'll be honest, it pisses me off because this man, if like what these people are saying, crediting this man and everything, if this man is really the better fighter like he thinks, like they think and all of that, why doesn't he do it? Go in there, let the young man get it, go out there and prove to everybody that you're the better fighter and everything. That's where I lost respect for him. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first heard it, it was Osterine, and I've seen a lot of, especially MMA fighters and stuff. There's a lot of third-party things that could have it and everything. So, I mean, we've seen this before with people, but it's his attitude towards it and his contradictions and everything that just made him go off the rails with me. Before that, like I would have liked the guy win or lose that fight, because I thought he would have lost it. So win or lose it, I would have liked the guy, but the guy, he did some serious things that pissed me off. Like he basically was making fun of mental health and everything. Kind of. This guy at one time had mental health issues, according to him, and then he's, making like he's attacked by the Illuminati or something. I don't know, like just trying to do anything to get attention, and I mean, that had everybody wondering. I was sitting there like, is he serious? Is this for real? Like, the guy's, yeah, he's completely lost respect, and I don't see how anybody can say anything good about him if the man won't even step in there and, prove, or just go out there and take his loss like Margarito did. You know what I'm saying? Just do that. Either way, I mean, the man should go in there and step in there and say, hey, I'm not a cheater. This was a tainted substance or something like that, and I'm going to prove it now. You know what I'm saying? Get in there, get the test and everything. You was willing to fight Tank this way, you know what I'm saying? Like taking a lot of Tank had a lot of stipulations for their fight, you was willing to take that, so why not?
Yes, sir. What Ty, what do you think? Do you think Devin should consider fighting Ryan Garcia if he doesn't go through with the VADA testing?
Of course, I wouldn't fight Ryan Garcia if he doesn't go through with it. I mean, I think he's just talking. You know how he was acting, in the build up toward the Haney fight. He was acting like we never seen him act before. So it looks like he's kind of going down that road again. But he's still suspended anyway. So I mean, but once all that's over, man, I hope they can definitely run it back. I mean, these guys are familiar with each other in the amateurs. I know Devin Haney. He wants to get that back. He definitely wants to run that back. You know what I mean? So I know he felt embarrassed, even though the decision was changed. He got to run that back. So I hope the guys can come to an agreement and get the fans another fight, and this time we can see who will come out the real winner.
Listen, man, the thing is, Ryan Garcia, he gets away with so much, and people allow it. And so by them allowing him to get away with things, then it goes into things like this, where something that most human beings, you would feel some type of remorse. If this was all legitimately something that you did that wasn't contrived, or it wasn't something that you attempted to get away with, then you would probably feel some type of way, like you'd probably feel bad. And it's like, no, I want to prove to y'all that I wasn't on anything. That's the way most human beings' minds works. But now I don't know what these dudes be on anymore. Like the things don't match the emotions that a stable-minded person would have in response to certain things. It's like they double down and they're more defiant because that's really kind of like narcissistic. When it's like, you don't believe what your eyes see. Like, don't believe the fact that I tested positive and all, no, that's not true. This is not true. And then they doubling down and making you feel like you wrong for pointing out the fact that they cheated. And so that's what it looks like to me in this situation. There's nowhere in the world. And if I was Devin Haney, I'm not fighting this dude. I want my get back. But if dude is not going to take the test, then I'm not going to enter that ring with he fooled me once. You know what I mean? Like, if for some reason in his heart, he has something against Devin Haney, I think. It's like he's trying to harm that young fella. And again, he's not even being remorseful. It's like, okay, bro, my bad. This happened, so on and so forth. We can go ahead and run that back. And Ryan Garcia used to be that type of guy. Like, when people used to talk bad about Ryan Garcia, I used to defend this dude like hook, line, and sinker. When he fought Luke Campbell, that was a January 2nd of 2021 or 2022. I'm defending this guy because nobody really wanted to fight Luke Campbell. And at that stage of his career, you were like, whoa, you want Luke Campbell? Because he was also trying to fight the guy that hurt Devin Haney in the 11th round, Linares. But the fight didn't go through. I'm like, man, this dude right here is ambitious. He's serious about trying to fight these dudes. And just the way he was carrying himself and the way he was carrying it, I'm like, okay, this is a solid little dude. He says some off the wall stuff from time to time, but deep down, he's made of the right stuff. And like I said, when I saw it earlier, he was to me like he was a knockoff little De La Hoya, because De La Hoya was doing that stuff too, not all of the nonsense talk. De La Hoya was always gunning for that smoke. And you like, damn, you about to fight Ike Cortez? Then you look up, the Felix Trinidad fight is taking place in September. You're like, huh? Like, he really want to fight that dude? Like, you don't even have to do that because you're already selling out already. So, nah, man, he went against all of that, man. And, like, now it's just looking like he's just a wacko jacko, you know? Also, I'm just pointing this out, as I told you earlier. I do want to get y'all quick thoughts on this fight, right? Because this is interesting to me. Because I know Jack Catterall, he really fights well against guys who come to him, like the Prograis and when he beat Taylor. You know what I'm saying? Like, those guys he looks phenomenal against because it's like a cat and mouse game. But in this fight, would you favor him or Barbosa? Just real quick, who do you favor in a fight between Arnold Barbosa Jr. and Jack Catterall? Who do you favor, Bill?
I favor Jack Catterall. I think, and I even learned last fight, man. I'm not going to say that he's the goods, but I think he's better than people think he is. And I think Arnold Barbosa, while a good fighter, I mean, he's not going to give any wrinkles to Jack Catterall that Catterall is that he hasn't seen or is going to have struggle greatly with. So I prefer Jack Catterall in this fight.
Close. I think it's a tough fight for him. I think Catterall pulls it off, but I think it's a tough fight for him. He definitely hold on.
What you got, Ty?
Yeah, I'll probably go with Jack Catterall at this point as well.
Okay. Why you said that though? Talk to me, man. Don't just, we need a little bit more.
I think that Catterall has fought the better opposition. I know he's been in there. He's been there with Prograis. He's been in there with Josh Taylor. So I just think that he just had the better opponents. Both guys got around like the same amount of power. But I think Catterall just got, he's got more experience and he's been in there with better fighters. So I'm gonna just go with Catterall at this point. Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting fight. I think it's about a 65-45 fight because Barbosa, he's one of those guys who is a little bit tricky sometimes. And Catterall, I think a lot of the guys that he beat so far, they were a little bit past it. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to have that same luxury against Barbosa Jr. Not that Barbosa, it's kind of like when Henchins fought against Paro, and then you would think based on Paro whooping on Matias that he would beat Henchins. But like I say, styles make fights, and the stuff that I'm seeing from Barbosa, I think a cutie like Catterall may, because a lot of times with Barbosa, the best way to beat him is to go ahead and be aggressive to beat him. And that's not Catterall's style. I don't see him being able to do that now. It's going to be a boxing match for the most part. And we'll see how that plays out. But it should be a goodie, man, as far as if you like technique and style, that sort of thing. All right. Matias and Valenzuela, not the Valenzuela y'all talking about, but they ordered Valenzuela. I want to say it's Jose Valenzuela. He's the number 6 fighter in the IBF, he's going to have an eliminator for Henchins. And I don't know if y'all know, but Henchins didn't want to face Matias when he had the opportunity to face him before. And that's the reason why Paro went in there to take on that fight. Henchins is saying that he didn't want to face him at that time because he was trying to get used to the 10-pound clause that for the IBF weight clause. But heck, he took the 10-pound weight clause against Paro, you know what I mean? But he wouldn't do it against Matias. But I just want to point that out, man. Also, a new way and Goodman is off. Yi Jong Kim steps in. What's-come couldn't make it. So that fight is off. Now, Tevin Farmer. Did we discuss this before, Vail? The Tevin Farmer's a paid. I know that we said, should he do it? But it's looking like the rematch is going to actually take place next. Do you think that Zepeda is going to stop Farmer in this one? You think he's going to, look or even look better? You know what I mean? Make it more definitive in the rematch.
I think he can look better, but I'm still not sure that he can stop Farmer. I feel like Farmer's going to go into that fight a little bit more confident, as long as, and I think Farmer is poised enough to not be overconfident. I think that's where his problem is. If he becomes overconfident, that's where Zepeda could probably beat him. But I think if Farmer just beats himself and he should go in there and saying, "Hey, look, man, I know I have enough skill and know-how. Unless I'm shot or something, I can move around and do this." And he did, drop Zepeda, so he should at least have, a little faith in that. Not while he don't think he can stop Zepeda or anything like that. He has enough to keep Zepeda off of him. So I still would I probably would favor Zepeda in this fight still. But Farmer is a live dog, man, and you never know, man. It could be an upset too.
Mm-hmm. What say you, Ty?
Yeah, I didn't see the first fight, but I was shocked that that I thought Zepeda would stop Farmer, just considering the power is so different. But from what I've seen, Farmer held his own. He protested. He was robbed. So I'm definitely looking forward to catching this fight the second time around. But I just think Zepeda, he's gonna come in. He's gonna come in stronger. I think Farmer's he just doesn't have enough pop to actually hurt Zepeda. But I think he's gonna stay busy for the whole fight. But I think Zepeda, his power is just gonna be too much. So I'll probably go with Zepeda by decision again.
Yes. He looked real comfortable against Zepeda in that fight. And he did the unthinkable in that second round when he dropped him. And the thing is, like I say, he looked so comfortable. That's what surprised me. He looked real sturdy at 135. I thought that he was going to kind of get beaten down, similarly to when he faced, I forgot the little chubby dude who he lost the title to at 130. He just looked. Yeah, Jojo Diaz. I thought that was going to be a similar situation because Jojo looked too big for him. But Jojo, I think, was shrinking himself down. He was really a 135, 140 type fighter who was shrinking down, to the lower weight classes. And he just looked too physically strong for Farmer in that fight. And I thought that was going to be the recipe for Zepeda and his demolition and destruction of Farmer. That's what I was thinking going into the fight. But he looked like he was able to absorb a lot of what Zepeda was bringing. And then a lot of times he was making himself unavailable and slippery against Zepeda. And the other thing that surprised me was his offense, because I didn't think Tevin Farmer was that good of an offensive fighter, but he was landing some mean leather on Zepeda when he let his hands go. And like I said, in that second round, he dropped him, and it wasn't a good look, for Zepeda in a fight that appeared to be like I wouldn't say a cherry pick, but people were like, out of all of the dudes at 135, you picking on like a former 130-pound fighter. But there you go. That was the fourth round he dropped him. And so, yeah, I don't know. And Farmer's been talking about drug testing. He said that Zepeda, for some reason, they didn't testing, in that fight. So he was making those type of allegations, but he wasn't saying it where he was trying to tell on them. But his wife was like, no, let them know he's been interviewed about what happened, and whatnot. So we'll see. It's a good one. I like the fact Zepeda wants the rematch, kind of like Magia, going right back into a fight, kind of like when Mayweather didn't look good against some of his opponents, then he went right back in there to go ahead and make it a clear-cut victory. So I think just based on his youth, he'll be able to get the job done, but at the same time, it's still going to be a tricky proposition dealing with Tevin Farmer because he's so slippery and such a wily veteran. So we'll see. All right. So again, Pro Grace, he's going to be fighting February 15th against Oscar Duarte. This fight right here for Regis is kind of like Deontay Wilder. Like if you can't mess around and beat Duarte, which is a good, solid B-level fighter, then it might be time to hang the gloves up. All right. Now, Abdullah Mason. Are you familiar with Manuel Jaimes? That name sounds familiar. Abdullah Mason is going to be facing him next. Would you be concerned if you were his people about him having chin issues after that magnificent fight that we saw when we were out there in Norfolk? Would you have any concerns about his chin moving forward, Bill?
No, not necessarily. I mean, when he was knocked down, those was mainly he was caught, but there were flash knockdowns, and the guy does have a little bit of power too. But Mason, he did get up, and he wasn't really he was like popped and hurt, not hurt as far as hurt, but he was buzzed as far as a flash knockdown, but he wasn't really like affected. You know what I'm saying? He still came back and stopped the dude. So I'm not sure if we should be concerned because he showed what we would like to see by somebody to get knocked down, that they come back and start just putting it back on them. Just like, I mean, because if that's the case, I mean, people like, Aaron Pryor, Pacquiao, we'll be looking at them funny too, because they was getting dropped too. Felix Trinidad, but they all showed like championship heart where, hey, you got me. Yeah, I might be a little embarrassed, but I'm going to use that to get you. So they shouldn't be concerned unless he's just showing himself to be really, really hurt, like let's say Amir Khan did when Khan would get caught.
That's who fought Rolly Romero. Manuel Jaimes. But here's the thing. The only pushback that I would have with what you just said when it comes to people like Trinidad, who tended to taste the canvas and then that kind of woke them up, was Trinidad. That would happen typically against world-class fighters, where he's so early in his career that he's getting dropped by somebody like that. Now, the guy that he was facing did have some power. He was kind of like your Daniel Boone of that weight class, where he tends to drop guys. Not necessarily victorious all the time, but he does pack a pretty big wallet. What say you, Legend? Would you be concerned about Abdullah Mason's chin moving forward after he was dropped, by the opponent and stunned, in that magnificent first round that he had in his last outing?
No, I'm not really concerned. I think a lot of fans are, because he was dropped twice in the first round, but he showed his heart, he showed his composure. Like Bill said, he eventually stopped the guy. But like I was saying earlier, with him and Manguire, everybody's going to get caught. If you're standing in front of a guy with 12 rounds, he's going to be throwing his shots for 3 minutes a round. You're going to get caught. You can't dodge every single shot. So no, I'm not concerned. But like I said, I was surprised by his composure and his heart. And I still think he's definitely one of the Nets. He's definitely one of the best prospects out there right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing more. Like, we know that Mayweather was a defensive wizard. He was caught. He was caught by Madonna. He was caught hard by Shane Mosley. So we all, all the best fighters are going to get caught. So, to me, I'm definitely not concerned. But like I said, I'm just definitely looking forward to seeing more from the young kid for sure.
Like I say, just like I said, the only thing is the guys that you guys are mentioning, Shane Mosley's a Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? Madonna was caught fire, and he had whooped on guys like Adrian Broner and some other guys, you know what I'm saying, like high quality guys. Like he was a handful, you know what I'm saying? And it's just that's the only thing would be concerning to me if I was concerned would be him getting dropped at such an early stage of his career. The other thing that I would just let the fella know, and I think that Shakur was trying to school him on that, is that out the gate, you might want to wait a little bit before you are so aggressive and you just thinking about you imposing your power on your opponent, especially somebody who's powerful, that you don't want to just give them an opportunity to catch you when you're a little bit cold too. You haven't even warmed up. And so you get yourself into the fight first, get you a lather first, and then start throwing those bombs, that you tend to throw. You understand what I'm saying? Now, let me go ahead and keep moving, man. That's a good conversation today, man. I had to throw this on there. Did you fellas see old Tank Davis new hairstyle?
I don't know if it's a wig or something, but I ain't gonna.
That's the truth. Let's not. That's what it is. That's Tank's hair, sir. Like, let's not do that. So, Tank.
I can't comment.
In his defense, some people say that they straighten their hair out like that before it's braided, but now that looks like he has a little makeup on and so on.
No, because you don't put bangs on it. No. I've seen many guys with braids get perm, and normally what they would do, they'll put themselves in a ponytail, but they wouldn't have it all looking a pretty ponytail like that with bangs in the front. They wouldn't do that.
Okay, so I'm just telling you, sir. Like, I'm not. There's no defense or anything. I'm just telling you what was said. No, but Tim Bradley is saying that what he quote unquote calls the zesty makeover of Tank Davis, that if he was Lamont Roach, he would even be more worried now going against Tank. That he might even be more. He might be even more dangerous now than ever before. What say you?
I say, man, Tank is dangerous, always been dangerous, and he always will be dangerous for Lamont Roach. I don't think he's going to be more dangerous. He's dangerous. Lamont Roach don't have a good chance of winning this fight anyway, to me. So he's dangerous. Lamont Roach's job is to not look at this and say, "Oh, I think I'm gonna take him lightly."
What do you think about this right here, sir? What do you think?
He can dance all he want. When he cracked Lamont Roach hard enough, Lamont Roach is going to sleep. It don't matter.
Okay. What say you, Ty? You think that the way Tank is starting to conduct themselves more often now, that he might be even more dangerous for Lamont Roach?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the picture, of course everybody had something to say about it, and of course he responded. So he always respond back to somebody that say something negative about him. But I mean, we know what Tank does. I seen this video of him hitting the mitts, the pad work. He's looking real good. He's looking fast. So I don't think any of the negative stuff that's been said to him outside the ring affects him inside the ring. We know what he does when he's in there. He stops everybody pretty much. So. I think it was just a picture that just everybody just looked at it the wrong way. Like the guy, I mean, he's obviously, like you said, he doesn't have the braids in, then now he's getting his hair braided or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I think everybody just looked at the picture and took it the wrong way, and he just happened to respond to it. I mean, I don't think
this. What about this? What about this dancing right here, sir? Are we looking at this the wrong way as well?
Yeah, I've seen that video a while back. Yeah, I definitely don't like it, but yeah, that video there is definitely sweet.
What about when him and Adrian Broner were kissing, sir? Was that? Did we look at that wrong as well, too? You know,
none of this matter, man. He's still going to knock out Lamont Roach. Tank Davis still can hit you with a left and knock you out.
That's not my point. My point is what my main man Tim Bradley is saying. He's not my main man.
But I'm not gonna get involved in anybody's personal life. What they do?
No. We're not getting involved in his life. What he's saying is now that Tank is more open about who he is, then that might allow him to free himself in order to be like it might carry over inside the ring, and he might even be more of a monster now
And be a
because
Zen master because of
he has he's free. You know what I'm saying? So he might. So you know how Tank typically takes his time in the ring to start setting his opponents up. He may be now just letting these bombs go from the start. You understand what I'm saying? So we'll see. All right. Also for Tank, he says it's looking like Maxio is the opponent who they have kind of like in the batter's box just in case Lamont Roach doesn't take place. What do you think about this, man? If let's say for instance Lamont Roach doesn't fight, is that cool for him to be facing somebody like Mark Maxio?
No, man. It's interesting because let's say this all happens and Tank goes out there and knocks out Mark Maxio or beats him. Then he'll be.
That's what he's gonna do.
Then Tank will be saying things like, "Oh, why would I ever need to fight Gary Russell when he was calling me out? I already beat the guy that beat him." And then no. Dude, if you want somebody to stand by, get a lightweight. Matter of fact, we just discussed a few of them. You know what I'm saying? Beforehand, we discussed. Even though they're fighting, I mean, the Williams Cepedas, the Tank Davis, and not the Tank Davis, the Tevin Farmers, those guys, even though they're fighting, at least of that level of a lightweight, that's just to show everybody that there's lightweights out there for Tank Davis. He doesn't need to go to a featherweight. It's not even 130 anymore. This is 126. Dragging him up 2 weight classes so you can fight him.
Why not have Jason Maloney as the potential opponent who's a bantamweight? Like why not just go ahead and do it? Why stop there? You know what I mean? But what about you, Ty? You think that that's an appropriate person to put in place as a replacement if the fight doesn't take place between he and Lamont Roach?
Absolutely not. We all, all the fans, we all know who we want to see Tank fight, and it's definitely Mark Messiah is definitely not one of those guys. He beat Gary Russell and won the title off of him, and then he loses his next 2 fights. He loses to Ray Vargas. So that's definitely not Mark Messiah, man. For sure. No, we already know that Tank doesn't fight the names that everybody wants to see him fight. So Mark Messiah is just another one we don't want to see him fight. So no, absolutely not.
Let's see who we can just in case. Like first off, he shouldn't be fighting Lamont Roach. That's the first thing. And then you're gonna just even make it again. These dudes double down with the nonsense. Hey, this is a Teofimo Lopez move or a Ryan Garcia move. When you call them out on some BS, like I even give you more BS. Come on, man. Like the top guys over here is who you should be facing.
Well, he said Lomachenko's ducking him. He said Stevenson wants too much money.
We get the Lomachenkos, but Shakur, they could have been set that up. You got even these other guys are viable options, man.
He said Keyshawn Davis is a nobody. He said Barichick, who's that?
Okay, so to start
Frank Martin, I knocked out.
Whoa, time out. Can we do one thing at a time? So if you say that he's a nobody, then who is Lamont Roach? Who is Lamont Roach, sir? Like, so you can't. All of that stuff is cool. You can say whatever it is you want to say, but please make it make sense. You know what I mean? Like we're not doing that. We're not capping for these dudes anymore. And then also, let's say for instance, and they, oh my God, I ain't even gonna spend time on this because it's such nonsense to even have these type of discussions. Mark Maxio, brother, like come on, man, let's knock it off. Also, Delo Sena, this is gonna be a goodie right here, man.
Okay. Just last question from that topic. So who will be a better opponent, Mark Maxio or Chris Colbert for Tank?
Mark Messiah, for sure. Chris Colbert. Definitely not Chris Colbert, man. The way he's been looking in his last 2 fights.
Nah. You know what? That's like telling me, do you rather drink pee or eat shit? No, I don't neither one of them. Like you shouldn't be. No, I don't want either one of those fights. Like what sense does that make?
All right, I predict. That's one of my predictions for this year. Chris Colbert name is gonna come up. It may not happen, but it's gonna come up as a pointer for Tank.
Can we let's make sure De Los Santos, man, is in Frank Martin are in the talks, man. If they do decide to lace them up, who you favor in a fight between those two and why?
This is actually going to be a tough fight and probably a hard fight. A lot of this is going to be on how much confidence does Martin have after the Tank fight, and he's going to have to put that to the back of his mind because De Los Santos is a different type of puncher. Even though he punches hard, he's not the type of put you to sleep really, really fast anytime I feel like it and set you up type of puncher that that Tank is. So if Martin can put that to the back of his mind, I think he can win this fight because he has a lot of tools in his belt. And Santos, for the much power he has, and he makes a lot of mistakes too, and he's definitely hittable. So I will favor Martin in a close fight.
Yeah, for me, I might favor De Los Santos at this point, but like Val said, it all depends on like what Frank Martin is. Is he going to be, is he going to still be hurt off that Tank loss going into this fight, or is he going to leave that in the past and move forward and keep going on with his career? So, but like both guys have great power. Even before Frank Martin was stopped by Tank, he did a good job. He was good with his offense, good with his jab, his footwork. He just happened to get caught. So to me, Frank Martin is definitely a skilled fighter. He just lost to Tank, and De Los Santos. He was in a boring fight with Shakur Stevenson, but like that's a lot of Shakur's fights. So I'm expecting this one to be a goodie. I'm expecting it to be a war. But I just feel that with the power that De Los Santos has, he could clip Frank Martin as well. So I'll probably go with De Los Santos, maybe like a very late stoppage, like 10 to 12 round stoppage.
It's a good fight. I think Frank would get him if he's right. But I don't know. See, again, I don't like guys coming straight to other guys like after a knockout loss, like when you fighting somebody as dangerous as De Los Santos, I wouldn't like that for Frank Martin. Because again, I think that from a confidence standpoint, you got to adjust to get yourself back into the swing of things and building yourself back up psychologically and mentally before you face an upper echelon guy. To me, De Los Santos is who Tank should be fighting right now. With the opponents that are available in the lightweight division, that would be somebody that you could accept a Tank fight. He's a 135-pound fighter. He gave Shakur all he can handle. So you can justify that. You can say, you know what, I'm going to fight De Los Santos because I'm going to do what Shakur couldn't do. I'm going to go ahead. And now you see why it don't even make sense for you to keep talking about Shakur to me, because first off, he's boring. But you see what I did to the dude that gave him all type of trouble. And so he, like I said, you could justify that. But however, if this fight does take place, I would say it's about a 55, 60, 40 in favor of De Los Santos. I just think because what Shakur didn't like was the fact that De Los Santos was countering him and he was missing, but it was just like barely missing, but that power was coming. It was so powerful that he didn't want to make any mistakes and get caught by some of that stuff. Now, it conceivably, after Tank just knocked out Frank in the manner that he did, it's going to take some time to get yourself back acclimated, like your chin and cranium and things like that. If one of those shots, nails Frank Martin, he could possibly put himself psychologically in that same space that he was in when Tank caught him. So those are the things that I worry about. And De Los Santos not a punk, man. Like that dude be up in there throwing them shots. He's vulnerable sometimes, but he's willing to mix it up. So in that fight, man, I favor De Los Santos just slightly, especially coming off of a Tank Davis knockout loss for Frank Martin. Negotiations underway for Ennis and Stanionis or Barrios. It seemed like, and I'm not going to be too hard on the young man, but it just seemed like we always keep talking about he's another Teofimo, like he's always about to fight somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like then next thing you know, you look up and then he might be fighting somebody like what's the name? Anthony, can you dig it? Yicket type opponent. But anyway, would you favor Boots over both of those guys, Vil? Which fight is the more trickier fight?
I would. I think the trickier fight is probably Stanionis because they haven't seen somebody knock Stanionis off his bicycle yet. Barrios, we've seen Barrios be beaten. So I would say Stanionis.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ty?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Stanionis, he's had the layoffs, he's had the injuries. Barrios, he's had the victory over Ugas. He just fought on the undercard of Jake Paul. So Barrios has definitely been more busier. But Stanionis, he's got some power. But Barrios is a tall fighter. He's got some reach. So both of them to me are tough fights. But I think at this point in their careers, I just think Barrios would make more business sense. So I would like the Barrios fight more.
Yeah, they all their business is their business to me. You know what I'm saying? Like you can get the business. But as far as who I would like to see him fight, it would be Stanionis because I've seen Stanionis and Deontay go at it, and that was a goodie. And I like his work in the pocket. If Boo's standing there too long with him, then that's going to be a tricky fight. That's going to be a goodie. Like you're going to see two different styles that kind of they go together. You know what I'm saying? Boo's ability to be on the outside, and he likes to catch dudes up the middle. When they're coming in, and he likes to punch with the other guy. And what's come is very technically sound. And so Boost isn't the most technically sound guy. Will he just be too dynamic and overpower Stanionis? Or is the technical prowess of Mantis Stanionis, will that be too much for Boots? Because it's hard, like those fundamentals, to be able to overcome that. So we'll see. I like that fight. Only thing about Stanionis, I don't think he's that active. He just, since the Deontay fight, he may have had one fight after that. So he's just not that active. Because he was supposed to fight Virgil Ortiz, and that didn't pan out, several occasions. So they kind of put a stall to his career. But as far as just skill-wise, and he's fought the stiffer opposition. Boots don't really be fighting anybody. If Kieran can go ahead and be tapping that chin, I think Stanionis is going to be having his moments, at certain times in that fight. But this is what we need to see. If Boots can wipe the floor with Stanionis, then I'll be back on the Boots bandwagon. I don't see it happening though. But we'll see. Goodie right there. I just want to point out Billy. He's going to be in an IBF eliminator that's close to a deal with a gentleman named Sadajo. Sadajo looks like he's about 68 years of age. Hopefully he can get his Medicare, kicking in before that fight. So this is what I was saying. So you was talking about Lomachenko and whatnot. Now he gets another medical extension. I think it's something wrong with his back. So the IBF is giving him 60 more days to make a decision on what he's going to do, as far as his career is concerned. That's pretty much it, man. Anything else you guys have, man? That was a pretty good show talking the topics, of the day. Anything that we talked about, Legend, that you wanted to, chime in about before we wrap up? Any topics that you didn't get a chance to come in on that you want to discuss? The Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, the Joy Taylor, situation that's going on over there at Fox, where she's sleeping her way all the way to the top, but she can do what it is she want to do. My problem in that situation is when you already preconceived a plan to do a Me Too movement on an executive to say that he's harassing you once you said that you're going to get whatever it is you need to get out of it. Like that's the biggest problem I have with that. And then also we touched on what was the first one we talked about, Vil?
No, we just talked about the weekend, and we talked about Drake and the
Drake. Drake. Oh yeah, man. You got any thoughts on that? Drake over there putting LeBron family up in his bar, talking about he over there cheating out there when he come to Toronto. You got anything on that, man?
Nah, I heard y'all talking about it, but I didn't hear anything about it. So that's like I said, I got something I gotta look into, but I ain't got nothing on that. But
Roll code is done, man. You fellas out here now. I know y'all.
Bro code still exists, man. It's just that these new cats, man, famous cats, they just I don't know, man. They don't get it, man. And
listen about all of the people we've been talking about. I've never seen anybody conduct themselves like a Tank Davis, man. I ain't never seen nobody. I ain't never seen Sugar Ray Leonard looking like that.
I'll give you one more. Did you ever hear about? Because we talk about Drake and LeBron and all these people and people to be fighting over a girl and all that stuff, man. Did you see LL and Tupac, even though they had real beef? Did you see them going back publicly doing sensitive stuff like this? No. Oh,
no,
Kadada Jones?
They did have a situation, but they handled it.
They did, but they handled it differently. It wasn't as obvious and it wasn't out there and it just wasn't as crazy.
No. But my point though, look at how these dudes. Again,
oh man, shout out to Shane, man. That dude just brought up the juice too, man.
I got him, sir. But the point that I was making is this: I said jokingly, as far as these dudes growing up off of Blues Clues and Clifford the Big Red Dog, but these some sensitive people. See, what's been placed in society is there's no accountability for anything. Where we used to have to go through things. Now it wasn't good. But at the same time, it hardened you. It made you stronger. You know, you got this thing now, like they make people mentally weak by not allowing them to have to go through anything. Everything is so sensitive, so soft. I remember when I was in Texas and this one team was blowing out this other team. Now the dude put in his third string in there, and so they ended up winning 84-7. That Monday he come back to work, they talking about firing him because he's bullying the other team. And I'm like, come on, man. What is he supposed to do? Have the third team and these dudes never play. You want them to come in there and just down the ball? What is he supposed to do? So
hey, that's what Kansas City did last week.
I don't know. See, again, I don't justify any of that. I don't see how anything that I'm saying is something to be argued against. Because again, we making our society so weak, and then on top of that, there's no accountability. So the lines are blurred as far as responses to things that I'm doing wrong. You can't question me. You can't say anything to me. As a matter of fact, it's all about who has certain followers. If a person has so many followers, then their supporters are going to get them out of any trouble that they're in because they don't want to see them lose, as opposed to holding them accountable for the nonsense that they do. So then other people see that you don't have the followers, but you still emulating that type of behavior because you think that is something that's appropriate when it's not appropriate. See, me growing up, and if I come home and there's somebody that's trying to bully me or something like that, I couldn't come home and be like, so-and-so is bullying me. Well, what did you do? You know what I'm saying? You better go ahead and handle that. See, that's how we was cut from that type of cloth where you had to go through something. You have to overcome your fears, overcome certain things. Where people don't have to do that type of stuff anymore. They just double down on the nonsense that they're doing, and people are accepting of that, and they're okay with that. And that's making our society so far much more worse. And so that's the way I see it. But let me go ahead and read what my boy Shane. I don't know if you want me to read that right there. He talks about why he kind of went off, but it was always a good show when we have you with us, good brother. He says Broner, Josecito Lopez, and Victor Ortiz all caught that Chino Madonna rap. Absolutely. Chino was a bad boy, so that's why I can't kind of compare him to what Little Boy is going through, Abdullah Mason, at this particular stage of his career. Not to call him a little boy, because he is a man. Big Daddy Kane, the Juice Crew was awesome live. Yeah, who had the best verse on dun, 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 on the yeah. Who'd you go? Was it G-Rap? Was it Big Daddy? Man, G-Rap had the best verse on there.
Yeah, G-Rap is either G-Rap or Kane, but there was some bangers on there. You had Master Ace starting off, what I'm saying. But yeah, G-Rap is gonna be G-Rap because.
Let me ask you this though: on How High, who had the better verse, Meth or Red?
I can't answer that.
No, it was Red, man. Red was cooking on it. At the end, they had to stop him. They was like, "No, man."
I think them two are so competitive. Even though they're friends and they're friendly, and they love making music. You could tell that there's some competitive lyricism that really be going on between them.
What's coming? Still cold. Meth still cold.
Yeah, Meth go. But you can tell that Meth stepped his game up when he on track with Red, man. You can tell.
I like both, man.
What you? My bad. Go ahead.
Nah, I had the Block album, the first one, and that was a classic album. But me, like, I always like Meth. Like, if I was to like recite the verses, I would always go with Meth. But Redman, nice too. Like, but I like both of them. But like when they're together, man, they awesome. But I think like far as that, like them doing a song together, I think I like Meth more. But I love Redman too.
Yeah, but the Muddy Waters too, though. That's man. And me, I don't even listen to today's hip hop like that, man. When I heard that, I was like, it's a cold album.
Yeah.
No, man.
Sure.
Yeah, that Muddy Waters too. That's the thing is with that. See, Red be referencing his references be too old now. You know what I'm saying? Like he might be like, yeah, Archie Bunker, you know.
But I get
I get it, you know what I'm saying? But he ain't gonna get no new fans with some of them references that he be making.
You know, new fans, man. That's the thing. That's the problem. We have the cats that we like, that we grow with, that we listen to, that we the fans are. They try to get these new fans, and they be so out of touch with us, their supporters. We were like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, Redman had a lot of the comedy stuff in his rap too. So yeah.
Listen, man, I make your mind tickle. For the 9 nickel, remember you had to shut him down. He was just killing it on high. I don't think it's any question as far as who had the better verse. It's close, but I think he edged him once he ended up, spitting the last few bars. Now, let me ask you this question before we wrap it up. Who had the better career, solo career, Redman or Meth?
Oh, Redman, for sure. I think Method Man was just more popular as a solo artist, but I don't think he was as consistent. He would even probably tell you this, that he wasn't as consistent. Like he would go like 3-4 years between albums, and his albums, I think they have their highlights, but sometimes it's not a lot of consistency. And I think his work with Wu-Tang Clan is actually, to me, I prefer it.
Yeah, so here's the thing, man. I don't mean to cut you off, but here's the thing. Meth never was the man. Like, and I'm talking about like as far as just him being him, he was one of those dudes. Like he was up there, but at one point, Redman was that dude. Like when he first came out, that was Redman until like Biggie and all of them. Like that window of time, you had like the Chronic and all of that type of stuff. I think that came out around that time, but it was a moment in time. Those first 2 albums that Redman put out, Redman was the top dude. Like it was hands down.
You're right. The very first album, I think, and it's a lot of revisionist history because a lot of people didn't, wasn't around then. And when Redman first came out, he had more of a harder edge. He was a little different, but a lot of people from the West Coast gravitated towards him at that time, which for an East Coast art, which they did with EPMD a lot. But for East Coast artists, that was kind of like, especially around that time when West Coast was just really, really popping, they really gravitated towards him after that first album. And I thought he had a lot of respect there.
Yeah, he did. That's why Pac and them wanted to have him on the track. Him and Meth, though, once they got together. But I'm gonna tell you right, this right here, the man. This right here, he's still like, but then like Biggie and them start coming out once this one came out. But from
a lot of people didn't like that one, but I love There's a Dark Side. It got me through a real dark period in my life.
Cold CD. That's a cold CD. But these 2 right here, like from 92 to about 94, he was that dude. But it hit to me, people like Muddy Waters, but it was like that's a cold CD too, right there. Doc's the Name.
Yeah, that's what I rock with. Yeah, that's the one I like.
Doc's the Name. Then Muddy Waters was cold too. Like those right there, Muddy Waters. That's what most people would say was his best. But by the time you get to these right here, he had perfected his craft. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as like putting out a CD, you know what I mean? But yeah, man. Anything else you guys have, man? That's solid talk. So Shane, he say Redman always, and then he says Yeah. That's that LL, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I didn't like that the whole Cannabis LL thing took away from how dope that song was and how, man, they was going hard, man. Lyrics on that
man, he's sitting up there trying to take you want that microphone, huh?
one.
The dudes was way too competitive. Now, this is my last question, man. As far as hip hop is concerned, because lyricism doesn't mean anything anymore. Like that's just not really what people care about. For you, which region do you appreciate the most? Like rank the regions. Like, okay, if I had to go with one, I'm going with this region, this region, this region. Like which give me the pecking order of the regions that you listen to. Or
And
that
I
you
personally listen to.
prefer.
Um, it's funny, and I'll tell you the reason why. But I go East, West, South, Midwest, and even though I'm from the Midwest, I put Midwest last because I feel like even though they're dope, Midwest is dope, man. I'm from there, but their body of work is just not as much. They didn't have as many artists as like, you know what I'm saying? And plus they spent a lot of time trying to find themselves versus the East really had their style. You know, the West had their styles out there, and then the South had their styles based on what city they're from. So, but East was just like, I mean, I'll say each decade up to the time I stopped listening to hip hop, I could find artists in the East that I like. And I couldn't really do that for every region like that.
What about you, Ty? I see Shane said Dirty South, West Coast, East Coast, Midwest. That's his regions of choices. What about you?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely East Coast first, then West Coast, then I would say Dirty South. But East Coast for me, hands down, because of course, I love like all like these top rappers. You gotta admit they all come from New York. There's so many great rappers that come from New York. So for me, definitely East Coast, then West Coast, then like Dirty South. Like I liked all like I would say I was heavily into like like Ludacris, Nelly, all those guys around like the 2000s or so when they came out. But as far as East, I've been always deep in the hip hop like from the 90s. But yeah, definitely for me, it's definitely East Coast, West Coast, then then in the middle.
I always gravitated towards the East. You know what I mean? From the day, I mean, Run DMC is what really I kind of fell in love with hip hop before that, but Run them was my guys, man. Those were my guys. Like I used to love Run. Houdini was like a short, was close, but they wasn't quite like Run. I'm like they just jumped off the screen with the Adidas, the bomber jackets, the swag. You know what I mean? Everything. Then eventually, like guys like Cool G Rap, I used to mess with them, Rakim, people like that. So I definitely the East Coast was something that I gravitated to. Then eventually, like the Nas's, the Mobb Deeps, and people like that. And when it comes to like East Coast, I'm more of a like Queensbridge, like that Mobb Deep, grimy. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when I'm at the gym. That's what I be wanting to hear, and that's what be getting me going. But I'm gonna tell you like this though, the West Coast. If you think about it, the West Coast is not far off as far as like hip hop legends, as well. They had their moments. We obviously the Pox, the Easy E's, even though he didn't. The thing is, they kind of ushered in a lot of other stuff. Like we didn't think about it, but like Dre and them really didn't write their rhymes. But then West Coast started doing that type of stuff too. Puffy, like Puffy, kind of messed up hip hop. Like all the stuff that you don't like about hip hop, the shiny suits and that sort of thing. And if you think about it, he did a lot. I don't want to really kick his back in while he's not around. But the stuff that he was doing, like you probably listened to it and it was cool. But at the same time, some of the true roots and heartbeat of hip hop, you kind of lost it. I don't even have to write my rhymes anymore. You know what I mean? Somebody else does that. I write checks, that sort of thing. That he did. But then again, with the West Coast, man, like dudes like Raz Cass, Quick, The Game, Corrupt. You know what I'm saying? Too Short, Nipsey. You know, they had they run, and then some of those dudes, the Kendricks, and then when you think about the different crews that they had, I'm gonna tell you who. So when I'm talking about the East Coast, you know, I'm talking like Queensbridge, LA had a lot of gang rap too. You know what I'm saying, like affiliations. The coldest dudes was like the dudes who was affiliated with the Crips. Like I when I look at my playlist, I'm listening to a lot of those dudes who are very talented. Not to say that they push that line as far as what they talk about, but you can tell us in their lyrics to a certain degree, and they paint that picture. But they have some really talented dudes over the years, as well. But anything else you guys have before we wrap this one up, man? That's a good hip hop discussion, man.
No, sir.
Now we hit a lot of people that aren't mainstream anywhere, but Memphis area, KRS-One is still number one.
You say he was number one.
Yeah, Memphis. Memphis has some studs, man. 8Ball and MJ. At one point, that was like my favorite group, 8Ball and MJG.
Yeah,
sitting on top of the world. Space.
3-6, Player Fly. They even had back in the day. They had Gangsta Pat that was out there.
Gangsta Boo. That's who what's gonna sound like. Glorilla. She got a little bit of Gangsta Boo up in her. That's why I mess with her. And
not
then
Boo, Gangsta Boo, but Gangsta Pat. This was before even Project Pat.
No, I know what Gangsta Pat is. I'm just talking about you were talking about Memphis rappers. Some of the dudes that you mentioned, like I wasn't really a 3-6 fan like that. Some of their stuff, because they say something like when you listen to their lyrics, they be saying some stuff that be a little bit too far. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dude said the one song he said if you leave your weed, he said I'm gonna smoke your blunt, and then he said if you leave your drink, I'm gonna drink it up. No, I'm not drinking your drink if you leave your. No, that's nasty, man. Like little stuff like that. Last thing I'm gonna say, man. Sometimes you can't say a whack bar, and then it's like a whack performance in a fight. Like you only as good as your last bar to me. So I could not get over the fact, like 2 Chainz. When 2 Chainz, if you listen to him, he can be creative. He can be kind of witty with his stuff. And some people used to be looking for 2 Chainz. I had a buddy, he'd be like, that new 2 Chainz coming out. And I don't be want to, I ain't gonna be searching for no 2 Chainz. But really what happened, I think, when he said on this one song, she got a big booty, so I call her Big Booty. I said, no, sir. Whack bar of the decade, sir. No. But then I started hearing him on other people's stuff. And then I was like, okay, he kind of witty a little bit more. He's a little bit more slicker and clever with the
forget me. That was probably a freestyle gone wrong.
No, it was one of his main songs. She got a big booty, so I call her Big Booty.
No, he was in the booth freestyling, and they was like,
I don't care.
I like it.
Should go. No, sir. You should not. I don't care if you freestyle.
No, I ain't gonna say I love it. It's horrible. But hey,
last thing I'm gonna say though, because I was listening to my boy. This used to be my favorite cat. This dude, this guy I'm about to mention, had the coldest mixtapes. Who you think I'm about to say, Ty? The coldest gun happy, man.
Yeah, I thought you were about to say Big L or something.
Nah, Big L wasn't around long enough. They say Big L was dirty though. You know what I'm saying? Like he was robbed. But Gun Happy Pappy, from the time he made Beast from the East. My God.
My brother got me on that. And then like when I heard Beast from the East, man, them punchlines was just like out of this world. And then I got like all of his mixtapes going forward. But yeah, like Pap and that 2004, 2006 era, man, that dude was on another level, man. Then he got the Alphabetical Slaughter, rapping from A to Z. I was like, cool. Yeah. So.
God, listen, I'm just gonna show this. I was listening to him earlier today. These are the ones right here. So when he came out with, oh my God, the coldest Beast from East. I thought that was his first one, but that right there, as soon as he come out, he just hitting you with rhyme after rhyme, bombing on you.
Beast from the East was hot. Election Day was hot. Moment of Silence, I love that one. Underground King was good.
That's my favorite one. Is Underground freaking
he had a lot
things. That's when he was like, Oh my God! If you haven't listened to Underground King, and then I'm gonna tell you, see, during this era, this was a cold era too. So you got, to me, the best eras like the Nas's and stuff like that. The second best eras with, and it's close because that Kane and Rakim and all of them at the same time, that was a totally different, blew your mind. You know what I'm saying? But this era was still great because you had the mixtape era. You had the Diplomats. You had the, oh, I'm gonna tell you who else. I'm gonna tell you who messing with him as far as the mixtapes that people don't give them credit for. Not only the Locks, Styles P. Ooh! I was listening to that this weekend, man. I went back. He had the Phantom Menace mixtape. Like, these are classics, brother.
Yeah, the Lots definitely was on their mixtape movement, man. Like, so one of Styles P's favorite mixtapes for me was I think it was called Phantom Empire. I think that came out around 2009. But yeah, the Lots, like D Block, they were on their mixtape grind, man. Like, grinding with the mixtapes.
They kept your stomach full. Like, they kept something like for them, because they really weren't coming out with albums like that. You know what I'm saying? But they kept you fed with the mixtapes. And then on top of it, you know what else these dudes used to do? Is they'd go on Hot 97 or they'd go on one of them radio stations and they give you bar after bar. Like, they give you some stuff that's going to stick to your ribs. Dipset used to do that, the Diplomats. Like, they used to have some cold stuff. Ain't nobody doing that type of stuff anymore. And when they do, like, if they just make it through their rhymes, then people be like, oh, you see so-and-so, Little Baby was on there and doing, like, man, they don't get that up out of here. That's the other thing I'm tired of too, all the littles and the babies and the, you know, the sexies and all that. But anyway, go ahead, close this out, man. Good conversation right there, man, about the hip hop.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Shane, man. Shout out to Ty, man. Hey, man, you know we do it every week, man. So great conversation, man. Great boxing talk. Even in the slow weeks, man, we still get it done, man. So
get it done, hey. Still get it popping. Still get it popping like bacon in the pan. You understand what I'm saying? That was a bar that we're gonna leave. We need to do, you know what we need to do is the bar of the month and then also the whack bar of the month. But anyway, man, good chopping it up with you fellas, man. Y'all have a great week, all right?
All right, peace.
Peace.